Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing tips for Wednesday, the 4th of December. It was £5.72 back. I think I staked £7. So it was a losing day, but I was encouraged by how the horses ran on Tuesday, apart from the final one. So the first one, I was very surprised that they didn't actually just let it bowl along in front. When they turned the bend, the final, like to come into the home straight, I thought it got every chance. But the minute it hit the home straight, it started hanging, and it didn't really help the jockey. And in the end, it faded to come fifth. And don't think fifth is quite as bad as it sounds. It came fifth. I think it was 28-1, paying out first four. So it was a bit unfortunate there. It did drift in price, I'm pretty sure. But yeah. Unfortunately, they actually won it with the other colours, the same colours in the second colours, or might have been the first colours, I don't know, voltaic. So the next horse, I thought it ran an absolute cracker. I can't remember what record now. Came third at 33-1. It was the one that I did mention that as a 2-year-old, its third run, it ran an absolute cracker in a much hotter race than today's. I was taking fitness on trust, and I think it would just in my opinion, there's definitely talent with that horse. I don't mean big. It's not going to win anything big, but there's a race definitely in that horse to say it hasn't done a great deal. The third horse, I wouldn't take 4-1, and yeah, I think it returned 15-8, but that's how it goes. It came second. I think did it come second by a short head. I think. And then the final selection, I ran absolutely no race whatsoever. I got that wrong, so if you backed that one, I apologise. So let me get into Wednesday's horse racing selections for Lingfield and Haydock. So I'm going to very briefly talk you through them, but also show you through them as well. I've staked £13, which is quite a lot for me, especially on a Wednesday. So I've had a sixpence. So basically, these are big prices. We need a stroke of luck, but I've also gone for singles as well. So the more, I'm going to state the obvious now. The more comes placed, the better it is. But yeah, ideally, it'd be great if we get four placed. I may end up with egg on my face, and they may all run absolute stinkers. But bear in mind, please take a look at these horses for yourself before you bite them. They are big prices. They do have sneaks, but I'm not confident of them definitely finishing the first three, which is obvious really because the average price is about 16s or 20s. So let me go through it. So as I said, it's a sixpence each way. Luck is 63. I've placed 40 pence each way singles, and then just to make it to around £13, I've done a 32 pence each way six forward. And I'm sure if you're having it with Skybet, you will it'll come up saying you only need to stake 5p. Well, yeah, that only staking 5p each way for the each way sixfold. Yeah, if you're going to get the maximum up, yeah, you don't only need to stake that. But let's be realistic. I'm not going to get 6 out of 6. So the first selection is TC, and I'm not going to keep mentioning this. I've only taken the price of one of them, and you'll see it when I've taken it. So TC in the 11:20 at Lingfield, paying four places instead of three. So I'll very briefly show you this horse. So I'm taking fitness on trust. The stable's going okay-ish. It's the Tony Carroll stable. So I'll just click on TC. So it's over 7 furlong. So this horse, in my opinion, I don't think it's a fantastic race. It was in very good form last winter. As you can see, it ran very well at Southwell. It then reappeared, in July at Lingfield and ran okay, only beaten 4 lengths in a Class 5 race. It's a Class 5 race again. It ran okay, and then it ran disappointing at Brighton. But let's go back to last year. So 18th September, it ran okay on soft ground. It then had a break So it won after a break. It won very well. So it runs well fresh. Don't get me wrong. I think it was well handicapped, but it runs well fresh. But then once again, it ran well fresh from December to July. Yeah, it might come eighth of ninth, but it didn't run too far away from its handicap mark. It then ran down the field, and I think they've put it away for the cold weather, for the all weather meetings. It's Tony Carroll is renowned for having regular winners on the all weather. I do think it's a horse that is well handicapped. It's £7 above when it won this race here. Don't get me wrong, Coconut Bay is nothing special, but it absolutely hiked up that day, and it ran consistently since, apart from its two reappearance. Well, its reappearance run. Its reappearance run was encouraging, but it was disappointing at Brighton. But I'll probably blame the ground on that day. So I think it's a bit too big a price. It's not got an obvious chance on form, um, but I do think TC has got a chance. So the next selection is Primrose Path. I've left the price in the 11.50 at Lingfield, paying four places instead of three. So what I can tell you about this horse now is Simon Crisford, who I could quite easily back blind because I'm a big fan of the stable. They've also got the favourite in the Lingfield. Is it the Lingfield Winter Oaks handicap trial or something like that? It's a bit later on. You'll see it in a minute. So originally, I was looking at this horse, Rage of Thunder, but I've done the old chestnut. I've changed my mind, and I've gone for I can't ignore Primrose Path in a poor race with such a decent trainer. So let me just go to the trainer first. So this we're pretty much out of the flat season, aren't we? Really, realistically, and well, we are. And the all weather season started. Let me just show you the form that this trainer's in. So let's have a quick look. So the last two horses have won. The two previous were both third, fourth, fifth, first, fifth, fifth, and then obviously eighth. So I think this trainer's running into some form. It's a big, powerful stable. It's got some very good horses. This clearly isn't one of them, but it's still rated 72, so there's nothing really too much wrong with it. So let me have a quick look at it. So it didn't really do a great deal over 6 furlong. It ran okay, but then at Kempton took keen hold, press leader. I think what this horse needs to do, I think it needs to learn how to settle. It's been keen in a couple of runs, but in my opinion, for a powerful stable, this 25 to 1 is too big a price. It was actually owned by Godolphin to start off with, but it never actually raced in their colours. In fact, yeah, just double check that. Yeah, it never raced in their colours. So that it ran at Kempton in a Class 4 not too long ago. This is a Class 5. I think if this horse can settle, I think it may have struggled to get home at Kempton. Don't get me wrong, being a front runner at Lingfield can be quite tricky, but I do think there's more room for improvement. I think it's a warm-ish race. I think it's a bit of a tricky race, but I think 25 to 1 is too big a price for that horse when they're paying first four. The third selection is definitely an interesting one. It's My Friend Yates in the 12.40 at Haydock, paying four places instead of three. So I'll tell you about this horse because I can remember about this horse. So this horse, in fact, I just need to double check something. Yeah. So My Friend Yates in the 12.40 at Haydock, paying four places instead of three. So this horse, as you can probably tell, it's the sire is Yates. Yates was a very decent staying flat performer, very decent. So it will sire horse. Its offspring will want a test, whether they run on the flat or whether they run over on the national hunt. They'll want a test. So this horse went point to point originally over 3 mile. And then generally it's been campaigned since it's running under rules at round about 2.5 miles. but it ran its best race when it was stepped up to 2 mile 6. However, in its two runs this season, just to get on the just to get fit, it's been running back at 2.5 miles. It's now been stepped up to 3 miles. I think um, this horse is absolutely crying out for this distance, and by far its best run was when it ran over 2 mile 6. But the odd thing is, when it had that run, its best run, they dropped it back in distance, which is a bit head scratching, really. So I think this horse, um, I think they've kept it at distances to get a decent handicap mark at distances where it's unsuitable for it. I now think this 3 mile on atrocious ground, which is heavy ground at Haydock, will be right up its street. I hope it runs really well. It's not forced to because it's a decent price. I think it's 12 to 1 actually. I was expecting it to be a bit bigger, but to be fair, with how the price has drifted today on my selections, I'm actually petrified of taking prices again because of being stung. You know, like I was with Crafter when it lost by a nose at 66 to 1, and I ended up taking 7 to 1. I think it was. So yeah, I'm a bit nervous about taking prices. So I definitely think they can drift during the week at these morning meetings. So the fourth selection is Kilter, and I actually thought I took the price on this one, but I haven't. And this is the one I was talking around about. So Kilter is in the 10 past 1 at Haydock, paying three places instead of two. So this horse, unlike most in this race, is fit. It's definitely fit because it's had a number of runs this season. Um, it's running okay, but it was running much better last season on bad ground. It's back over bad ground after running on ground roughly around good. So I think this heavy ground will suit it. Um, Regular pilot on board. I think it's James England. No, it's Jonathan England or James England. I think it's Jonathan England, isn't it? So he's on board. He'll obviously know all about the horse. Um, I think when push comes to shove with a lot of these, a lot of them may be found wanting, and this horse might just gallop to the line, whereas a lot of them will be, let's just call it politely, out of breath. The fifth selection, another interesting horse from a trainer in outstanding form, and I know that I never quite look at your name. Is it Al P. Levy or is it Al P. Levy? I don't know. Anyway, Kinetic in the 120 at Lingfield, paying four places instead of three. So this selection, I think it's just been kept ticking over. It ran in a much hotter race than this, off pretty much level weights with most horses, bearing in mind weight for age. But I don't think it really ever had a chance. It was kept ticking over. It's been kept fit by running in those kind of races, but it was out. No, it wasn't out of the handicap. It's actually dropped £5. I'm not sure exactly why. Actually, I'm not going to look at it because I don't want to keep you on too long. But yeah, it's off of I believe 70 on Wednesday, and I think this horse, with it being in really decent form, I'm expecting it to race prominently. It's got to make its decision pretty quickly because it's drawn in 11, which isn't ideal. But I think if you make an early decision, don't use too much petrol. But if you commit to going prominent, then I think this horse, if it does race prominently and it's not too wide, I think it's got a very good chance at a very decent price. The problem is though, this James Owen stable, it I'm thinking they're like a punt because there's been some horses of theirs ending up being much shorter prices than they should be. And one of the selections was one I tipped one time. I can't remember what it is now. I think it's the same colours as these or similar. And it won at Southwell. But yeah, I do think they maybe put the money down when they fancy the horses. But I've left the price as you can see. So that's the fifth selection, and the final selection is Supernova Steps in the 225 at Lingfield, paying four places instead of three. So this selection, basically what they said is, and I'm just taking it with what they've said. I do like the stable. It's one of the Lochnanes. I can't remember which one it is. It's either Mark or David. So basically, what it did, it won very well. I think it was at Southwell, and they said that basically that. Excuse, excuse me. So it won very well at Southwell. Official rating 55, ran up to a race with post rating of 74. This horse then disappointed last time, but what it did, it apparently it doesn't like running on straight tracks. It likes to run round a bend, so it's going to be running round a bend again tomorrow. So I fully expect it to run much better. I don't like taking trainers' word for it because you can never trust them. But why would he want to be wrong? As in, yeah. So I think this horse, it's got a decent chance because it's actually in form. If it genuinely didn't like running on a straight track at Newcastle over the straight, I think straight six, I think. Why would you say that? So I think going back round the bend, if that's what it really wants, it's the best horse in the race. It's still in form. It just ran disappointing last time because of that reason. So I think it's got a decent chance. It's about tens or twelves, I think it is, which is an okay price. So those are the six selections for tomorrow. So I would really appreciate it if you give me a like or a subscribe. So the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.